Many people have asked in the last few days why I didn't do some sort of Christian-related video on Good Friday. Why did I post gun content on Friday and not talk about this Easter weekend? Well, the answer is quite simple. It's because it's heavily saturated in paganism, and it is not honoring the Sabbath, and it is not honoring the Passover, and more specifically, it is dirtying up the greatest thing that God ever did for mankind, which is redeeming mankind by becoming man, laying down his life and dying for you and for me. And the church is mutilating that. It is so corrupt. Let's kind of start with the honoring the Sabbath piece, because what's happening here is lawlessness is abounding, just like Jesus said it would. He said in the last days, lawlessness will abound. And what he's talking about is not people will be breaking the speed limit and committing crimes. What he's talking about is the laws of God. The laws of God will be broken. Lawlessness will abound. And the Christian church is so deeply engaged in paganism and the lack of honoring the few. There's only 10 commandments and they're not honoring them. This is what Jesus talked about, is lawlessness will abound. And Easter is an awesome example of that. Most people really just, if you ask somebody what Easter is, they say, well, Jesus died on Friday and he rose from the grave on Sunday. That's not at all what happened. People are very confused, and everything that I'm about to talk about is actually in the Bible. It's, so why they don't do this is because they worship pagan gods, and because they're not honoring the Sabbath is why this is happening. Let's start by saying when they asked Jesus, prove that how will you prove that you're Messiah? He said, well, just like, Jonah spent 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the fish, so will the Son of Man. This is 3 days and 3 nights. Now, if you go from Friday to Sunday morning, now, he died right before the evening came on Friday night, so there's 1 night. And then when Mary showed up Sunday morning, it says in the Bible that she showed up before dawn, so that's not even 2 full nights and only 1 day. That's not what Jesus said. He said 3 days and 3 nights he will spend in the tomb, and then he will rise from the dead. So how did all this play out? Well, first let's talk about what really happened. Jesus clearly was celebrating the Passover with the disciples at his last, what we refer to as his Last Supper. He was celebrating the Passover right as evening came, because the following day, that particular year in 31 AD, Passover landed on a Wednesday. And so Jesus, Tuesday night, he celebrated Passover with the disciples, and then that night he was seized. And later that night he was imprisoned and beaten. And then the next day he was then hung on a cross, and that would have been Wednesday. But the way they celebrate Passover is the next day is referred to as a high day. It's an annual Passover. It's a very significant day. Jesus died on this day for a very good reason. The Passover, what they tell the Jews to do on the Passover, get the blood of a spotless lamb and paint it on your doorpost. A direct representation of the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So of course this is going to take place on the Passover. And everything biblical says this is the Passover. These aren't assumptions we're making. Now, the high day was Thursday. This was the annual Sabbath. So when they say they killed him, when they said they want to get all the bodies off of the cross before the evening comes, because that starts the annual Sabbath. But people think, oh, well, that's Saturday. That's the weekly Sabbath, without actually taking a little time to just do a little tiny bit of research and understand how Passover actually works. You'd think over the last, couple thousand years, somebody would have figured this out. But we still continue this. So now Thursday, we go into Friday, where as Friday evening came, the women rested, on the Sabbath, and they rested on the weekly Sabbath. And then Mary shows up Sunday morning, and he's already gone. Like, she shows up before the sun rose, so he was gone. So ultimately what you have is you have Jesus dies on Wednesday. So you have Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night that he laid in the tomb. You had Thursday day, Friday day, Saturday that he laid in the tomb, and sometime Saturday night he was resurrected from the dead. So why don't I celebrate Good Friday? Because it is no Good Friday. What we should be celebrating is we should be celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ from Passover forward is the way that you should be celebrating. Now, and then even the dates. Now, here's where it gets really pagan. First of all, we're not doing that. So we're not honoring the annual Sabbath. If you're sitting in Sunday church, you're not honoring the weekly Sabbath. But it's also extremely pagan. So why do we celebrate Easter the way we do? Well, it's because we celebrate Easter not on a given date, has nothing to do with Passover. It's based on constellation and star systems and the alignment of the earth and the moon and the sun. It's all paganism. The date we get for Easter is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the first equinox, because it is a celebration of the goddess Ishtar from Babylon, who is the goddess of fertility. And Ishtar, Greeks changed her name to Venus, and it went on from there. And it's a celebration of Ishtar. Like when you go to Good Friday, you go to Easter Sunday, you are celebrating it on that day. You are celebrating the goddess of Ishtar. And the reason they even use rabbits is because it's a fertility thing. You know, of course, rabbits are very well known for their fertility and their reproduction. That's what you're celebrating, ladies and gentlemen. You're celebrating the goddess Ishtar and her ability to bring life to this earth. It's disgusting is what it is. So why didn't I celebrate Good Friday? That's why. It's lawlessness. The greatest thing that Jesus did for mankind, and you're celebrating the goddess Ishtar. Wake up, ladies and gentlemen. And it is the Christian church that for centuries has been teaching you how to do that, because I didn't come up, my generation didn't come up with this. My parents also celebrated Easter this way, so did their parents and their parents and their parents. It's the evil satanic spirit of Babylon continuing and never actually going away. And here you have the lawlessness of the church. God had only 10 commandments. Honor the Sabbath. You're not doing it. Lawlessness. Have no other gods and don't worship any other idols. Lawlessness. You're worshiping Ishtar, and the rabbits are just another sign or a symbol of that. You know, there's a point where Christians have to start taking this stuff seriously. The Christian church is a frigging joke because of the lawlessness is abounding, just like Jesus Christ said it would. It makes me angry, and it's a righteous anger because we're talking about the death of Jesus Christ. And he was bound. He was bound in Sheol, like just being bound, like to the point where you can't even break free. He was bound in Sheol for 3 days and 3 nights, just like Jonah was in the belly of a fish. This garbage has to stop. It has to stop. He deserves credibility for what he did for you and for me, and this garbage has to stop. Love to hear any thoughts on that. Put it in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. Feel called to support this channel with Patreon. That link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests. Don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.